Evening, everybody. Thank you for coming out. Don't embarrass me. So, a lot of people might be wondering why this is relevant, particularly if you're not Jewish. If you've stumbled across this event, perhaps you're walking past, or you've come across it on social media, or a Jewish friend has made you watch these speeches, you may be wondering why it's relevant to you. And I think the core of the problem that we have, as we've heard, we have a national broadcaster that is playing fast and loose with the truth. But worse than that, we have a whole layer of society, those in the media, artists, present company accepted, who want more of it, who want more of what the BBC are doing. They're saying that their version of the truth should be taken above everybody else's and no questions asked. They are saying that we must suspend our normal values such as journalistic independence and integrity so that it doesn't spoil their narrative. And if you don't believe me, look at the letter that has been signed by now about 1,000 or more of these lovies. Disgusting. If you want to see the letter, and I would urge you to take a look and share it widely with anybody you know, look on the Artists for Palestine website and look at how this letter defends the documentary, How to Survive a War Zone. So take the section headed, and this is true, Racist Assumptions and Weaponization of Identity. Right, that's one of the sections in the letter. And the letter in this section, it suggests that there is a malicious campaign going on to discredit the documentary, and the malicious campaign hinges on using the narrator, as you know, Abdullah al-Yazuri, using his father and the fact that he is Deputy Minister of Agriculture in the Hamas government. And what the letter says, this is a quote, it says, conflating such governance roles in Gaza with terrorism is both factually incorrect and dehumanizing. So it's difficult to know what to say here. I mean, Hamas is designated a terrorist organization in the UK. So obviously it's possible that there are people in the Hamas government who are a little bit squeamish about rape and murder of Jews. It's possible that they're a little bit squeamish about firing rockets from mosques. And it's possible that they're a bit squeamish about shooting their own people in the legs. And perhaps the Deputy Minister of Agriculture has something to say about that. But we're not talking about that. What we're talking about, we're not talking about whether there are people in the government who don't really like terrorism. What we're talking about is whether being part of a terrorist government and then contributing to a documentary for our national broadcaster is something that should be overlooked. That's what this letter is saying. They're saying it's irrelevant. They're saying that there is a bigger truth to this story and we should suspend these kinds of values like fact-checking and journalistic integrity. So they go on. They say, this broad brush rhetoric assumes that Palestinians holding administrative roles, right? This is why you have to share this letter with people. This broad brush rhetoric assumes that Palestinians holding administrative roles are inherently complicit in violence, which is a racist trope that denies individuals their humanity and right to share their lived experiences. So Gary Lineker and his chums are effectively saying that anyone who questions who appears in this documentary is a racist. Yeah. Now remember that terrorists who were recorded, in fact I say recorded, who recorded themselves committing atrocities on October the 7th turned out to be in the Gazan police. They turned out to be in UNRWA. They turned out to be officials. So what Gary Lineker and Ken Loach and Mike Lee and Juliet Stevenson and all of these others are basically saying in this letter, and Margolis, what they're effectively saying is that anybody who imagines that somebody with an administrative role is a terrorist is a racist. A bit more from the letter. They go on, as industry professionals who craft stories for the British public, and we are grateful for that, including for the BBC, we condemn the weaponization of a child's identity. This is Abdullah, the narrator. We condemn the weaponization of a child's identity and the racist insinuation that Palestinian narratives must be scrutinized through a lens of suspicion. So even the idea that you doubt in the first place is being called into question. Now, remember, Ken Loach and Mike Lee have signed this letter. And remember, in May last year, they resigned as patrons of the Phoenix Cinema. And the reason they resigned was the crime of the cinema was that they showed a private screening, right? Not a screening on the BBC or Channel 4 or anything. A private screening was going to take place of Supernova, the music festival massacre, as part of the Surrey Film Festival. So Mike and Ken, our cuddly national treasures, objected to a film showing the slaughter of young people at a music festival, which was made using video that the terrorists themselves had live streamed, and which was about to be shown at a cinema that at that time had been daubed, if you remember, with red paint the day before. These same people were concerned about weaponizing a child's identity and the racist idea that you might look at things through a lens of suspicion. Yeah. So ultimately, this is why I say it's a problem not just for Jews, it's a problem for non-Jews too. Because we have a national broadcaster that is supposed to be about the truth, that is playing fast and loose with the truth and with journalistic integrity. And we have people who will go along with this. In fact, they want more of this because they are saying that their version of the truth is the only one that matters. For them, no safeguards are necessary, such as independence, fact-checking, integrity. They have already decided what the truth is. No matter that the truth they have decided is one that paints a nation trying desperately to defend itself against terrorism as genocidal. Something that, as we heard earlier, something that is clearly responsible for the dramatic rise in anti-Semitism. So this is not just about the BBC, this is about our society's attitude to truth. This is about the idea that you can suspend truth and suspend investigation and integrity for some bigger story. So ultimately, if the BBC is playing fast and loose with the truth, and if the lovies and the media and the artists want more of it, then it falls to us. As with the spirit of Phoenix Cinema, if you were there, you'll remember the last time, that was an initiative of the Artists for Palestine as well. And if you remember how it ended for them, it didn't end very well. They didn't succeed in preventing the film from being shown. And the people who turned up to protest, you may remember if you were there, were driven down into the London Underground station with their tails between their legs. So it falls to us to now try and reset the BBC's moral compass. Maybe we can all be Josh Howie for a time. Let's all get together, share that letter with people. I urge you, make sure people really understand what is at stake here, because it's the truth that's at stake. It's not just the BBC, it's truth that's at stake. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark Birbeck.